So the question we have is, what are we getting for the extra $21,000 we spend per student at the public schools relative to the for-profit ones? And while costs for direct instruction per student have increased about a third in inflation-adjusted terms over time, they've doubled for research and increased 2/3 for administration. Instruction is becoming a smaller and smaller part of university budgets. This is confirmed by data showing that the army of professionals who do not teach is rapidly growing relative to the number of professors. Increasingly, the tenured permanent faculty have turned more of the teaching over to part-time faculty, to graduate students, and other non-tenured employees. Federal data suggests that the senior tenure-track faculty typically spend less than 30% of their time involved in undergraduate teaching, preferring to work with graduate students, do research, attend committee meetings, play golf, and the like. Their absence from the classroom continues to grow. This makes the per-student cost of senior teaching staff vastly higher than that of instructors and adjunct faculty, as this data from a leading Texas university demonstrates. While university research is important to our nation, 5 R&D dollars are spent outside universities for every dollar spent within, and the universities even account for less than half of our basic research, the search for new discoveries and ideas. Now, it is true that faculty write a huge number of papers for journals. Under one way of accounting, the cost per journal article is upward of $50,000 a year. There are occasional breakthrough publications and discoveries, of course, but the typical journal article is read by a handful of specialists and has no material impact on the advancement of Western civilization. It is totally indefensible on cost-benefit grounds. Let's talk a little bit about student outcomes, for which we actually know embarrassingly little, itself a national scandal. Recall that the for-profit universities operate at dramatically lower costs per student. Yet there is some evidence that in terms of postgraduate success, the for-profits compare favorably with public universities and get students through their programs reasonably well. They serve low-income minorities, for example, far more than our supposedly easily accessible state universities. It is a national scandal. A national scandal. I heard this statistic. I'm going to about give you first when I served on the Spellings Commission on the future of higher education. It is a national schedule that of every 100 Americans attending high school, only about 70 or so graduate from high school, only about 40 enter college, and only about 22 actually graduate from college within a decade of entering high school, within 6 years of going to college. No wonder a lower proportion of Americans today, adult Americans today, have college degrees than Norwegians. Data on learning outcomes are almost non-existent nationally. However, an excellent test on American history and government, international relations and economics that's given by to thousands of college students by the Intercollegiate Studies Institute shows embarrassing amounts of ignorance of key aspects of our heritage and changes in knowledge over time amongst these students from the freshman to senior years is often negative, including at prestigious private universities. Look there, Duke, for example. The seniors no less than the freshmen. Why does anyone send their kid to Duke? Beats the hell out of me. Are my North Carolinian friends here? UNC does better, by the way. A far more comprehensive assessment of adult literacy by the U.S. Department of Education shows low and declining levels of advanced literacy among college graduates. Here's a good statistic. A survey of college students done by my friend Ann Neal of American Council, whatever she is, ACTA, American Council of Trustees and Alumni. A survey that her organization did showed that 98% of students could identify Snoop Doggy Dogg, but less than 25% know that the phrase government of the people, by the people, and for the people came from the Gettysburg Address. Now, there are other horror stories, but we didn't come here. We want to raise our self-esteem, feel good, so I won't tell you anymore. I could tell you, for example, about accreditation and the accreditation cartel that impedes competition and so on. And I could, but suffice it to say that American higher education is teaching too little, doing too much worthless research, and getting dubious quality graduates.